All right, math people, we're doing quadratic equations today. So let's take a look at this and take our time with it. All right, so we got x squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 0. And so what we're supposed to do is have like two things like this that equals 0. Okay. Right, and because we have x squared, we know we're going to have an x here and an x here. And I'll explain that in a minute. Okay, so when we're doing this, really, when we have an x squared, is we want to have two numbers, one here and one here, but we want to have two numbers that multiply to 15, this number. They multiply to 15, but the same numbers add up to negative 8. Okay, so, all right, so we start off, let's look at our factors of 15, right? What are the factors of 15? And so I could go 1 times 15 is 15, right? And so given that we know that we have that negative 8 over here, is we can be pretty sure like two positive numbers aren't going to add up to negative 8. Okay, so we're going to be pretty sure that at least one of these numbers is going to be negative, and probably both of them. Okay, so that's what we're thinking, right? So like 1 and 15 doesn't look so good. Really, our only other hopes are 3 and 5, yeah? 3 and 5. So 3 times 5 is 15, right? And what if it was negative 3 times negative 5? Okay, so that equals 15, right? Two negatives equal a positive. We multiply them together. And negative 3 plus negative 5 equals negative 8. What do you know? Okay, so let's fix this thing. Okay, get my pen back. All right, so if I go x minus 3, x minus 5 equals 0. Okay, and I'll go ahead and erase this factoring stuff that I did. So we got some room to work with. It doesn't get all confusing and weird looking. Okay, and if you want to go ahead and multiply this out, the way it works is you go inside times inside, inside times outside, and then like that, and then like that, right? So what we're left with is x times x is x squared, x times negative 5, negative 5x, negative 3 times x, negative 3x, and then negative 3 times negative 5 is plus 15, right? And so we're just kind of just checking to make sure we put in the right number. So this thing right here and this thing right here are the same, right? X squared, negative 5x minus 3x is negative 8x. So x squared minus 8x plus 15. Okay, so now we still need to find an answer, right? So we have, just to write it again, because I got arrows and stuff all over the place. I got x minus 3, I got x minus 5 equals 0. Okay, so we've done it right so far. Okay, now I need to, what could I have x equal so that inside these parentheses we would have 0, right? That would be 3, right? Because 3 minus 3 is 0. And then we don't care what this other one was because this is 0. 0 times anything is 0. Okay, so that's 1. And we do the same thing over on this one, right? If we put in 5, 5 minus 5 is 0. And that satisfies that one as well. So when we're doing these quadratic equations, we tend to have two solutions like that. And so on this one, x equals 3 or x equals 5 would be our solution. Okay, so if you're not used to those, that can seem like an awful lot. Once you get used to it, it's really the math part of it isn't really all that hard, right? We didn't do any like complicated calculations or anything like that. Just getting used to how to set up the factoring, how to go and find these answers. So let's do another one. Okay, so on this one we have x squared equals 12 minus x. Okay, so we're always trying to set this up so that we have stuff that equals 0. Okay, and so because of that, we're going to take everything that's over here on the right and send it over to the left, right? So we're going to have that x squared stays. Okay, we had a minus x, so we're going to add an x to both sides to send this one over to the left. And we had a 12, so we'll subtract 12 from both sides also. Okay, so that got it so that this thing is completely gone, right? So that all that's left is 0. Okay, and now we have what we had before, right? Where we just have to figure out what all this stuff is going to be. Okay. Okay, so we have x here, x here, and now we have to be doing this factoring, right? And so we want to look at 12, and really it's a negative 12. Okay, so how many ways can we find to multiply to 12? Right, and since it's a negative, we're going to have, it's not going to be two positives, and it's not going to be two negatives. We know it's going to be one positive and one negative, right? So like, for example, negative 1 times negative 12 equals 12, right? But negative 1 times positive 12 is negative 12. So we know it's going to be one positive, one negative. We just aren't sure about the details. Okay, so 2 and 6 could work. Like 2 and negative 6, or negative 2 and 6, those are possibilities. And 3 and 4. Those are all of our possibilities, right? Okay, so we know what we need to find is something that multiplies to negative 12, but when it says plus x, it could just as easily say plus 1x. But when we add these two numbers together, it adds up to 1. Okay, and so it should kind of strike you that the 3 and the 4 are since they're only one number apart from each other, there's a good chance that, like when we take a negative 3 plus 4, right, that there's a pretty good chance that that's going to work out, right? Negative 3 plus 4, negative 3 times 4 is negative 12, negative 3 plus 4 is 1. Looks like that would be a pretty good answer, right? So if we have x, let's see here, so if we have x plus 3, whoops, did it wrong. It's easy to make a mistake. X plus 4 times x minus 3. That's going to be our guess. Right, and then we'll test it out. Okay, x plus 4, x minus 3. So if we multiply these, we get x squared minus 3x plus 4x minus 12. Right, so that will work out just great. So our first thing is we go, we're testing to see if we did this right. X times x is x squared. Okay, and then we go x times negative 3, so that's negative 3x. Okay, and we did this other one, 4 times x, that's plus 4x, yeah? And lastly, we go 4 times negative 3. That's negative 12. Okay, and if we combine this, we get x squared, so negative 3x plus 4x is just a plus x. So negative 3 plus 4 is 1. And then we still got our minus 12. Okay. So it looks good, right? This is the same as what we had up here before I drew all over it. Okay. And so we're good. Okay, so x plus 4, let's erase and make this a little cleaner. All right, so this was just checking to make sure we did it right, which we did. Okay, and I'll rewrite that just in case it's hard to see. So we have x plus 4 x minus 3. Okay, and that's how we factor this guy out, equals 0. Okay, and the last part really is pretty easy, is now we need to solve for x. Okay, and so we want, first of all, the one in this parentheses to equal 0. And so if x is negative 4, negative 4 plus 4 is 0. And then whatever happens to be in the right parentheses doesn't matter. 0 times anything is 0, right? Okay, and same thing here. If x equals 3, 3 minus 3 is 0. Same thing. The solution will be 0 for either the answer of negative 4 or 3. Okay, now one more. These take a while, right? Longer than some of our other videos. There's really no way around it. It's important to kind of go step by step so we really have a good understanding of how to do these quadratic equations, because they will show up. Okay, last one. This one's quicker though. All right, so we have 4x, and it's a little different, right? Squared equals 64. Okay, how do you solve something like this? Okay, so we're solving for x, right? So let's get rid of that 4 first of all. Divide each side by 4. So now we have x squared. So 64 divided by 4 is 16. Okay, and now we get rid of that square, and the way we do that is with a square root. Okay, x equals, and the key thing to remember here is that the answer is not just 4, but 4 and negative 4, because negative 4 times negative 4 equals a positive 16. So whenever you use square root, you're also going to have two solutions, in this case 4 and negative 4.